Welcome to Talking Halos. Derek Ciapola with my host, my partners in crime, Jared Timms and Nate Green. We are back full force. That's right. You can see the background. That's not the same you're used to. I have moved. I am now in my man cave. Literally. See?
Nice.
Man cave. Just doesn't have all the decorations up yet. I'm in my basement. It is a man cave. Okay. We are here for the sole purpose of badmouth the Angels.
Wow, right for it there, huh?
No, man. Is it?
I
got questions. I've got questions, and the big one is, are the Angels this messed up, or is something else going on? Because in the matter of a few days, we've had Ohtani having his locker cleaned out, and then the Angels won't talk about it for 24 hours. And we've had Anthony Rendon finally, after avoiding media, going through extreme lengths to avoid media for 2 months, tells the media or leaks the media, oh yeah, hey, by the way, I did break my leg, basically. That was kind of important information. No, because people have been bagging on Rendon the last 2 months about a bone bruise, wouldn't have been bagging if they knew the guy broke his leg. There's nothing you can do about that. He broke his leg. So that's kind of, the Angels here look bad. Ohtani looks bad. Rendon looks a little better, but he still looks bad. So what the crap? Nate, I'm going to you first because apparently you're the truth teller here. Everybody sees online like Nate tells the truth, he speaks truth to power. Nate, go.
Yeah, they're calling me the Angels honesty broker, just like Colin Cowherd's America's honesty broker.
You've given yourself that.
That's what they're calling me now.
There.
But yeah, honestly, this is the worst run organization in professional sports right now. And that's putting the Dallas Cowboys, who everyone thinks Jerry Jones is bad at his job. That's putting the New York Knicks, who everyone thinks Dole is bad at his job. That's putting the New York Jets, who suck at football, and that's putting them on this as well. So this is the worst run organization in professional sports. And it's just unacceptable. There is a complete disconnect from the top all the way down. It's not just Perry has a problem with someone. Perry doesn't connect with Artie. There's no connection to Phil. There's no connection to the players. It's just an absolute shit show. That's what it is.
Wow, you went explicit there. Now we can no longer mark the podcast as clean. We have to go explicit because he had to just cuss it out. Shame. Jared, what do you got?
Yeah, first off, welcome back. Glad to see you back. I love running the show and everything, but glad to see you back. Nate summed it up there. It's rough. It really is. And we're coming down to the end of the season where the Angels have won. I gotta have to look at their record. I think less than 10 games, maybe about 10 games since the All-Star break. Right. It's pretty close.
It's more than that, dude. August forward. Go August forward.
They've lost a lot of games.
They've lost a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Probably 15 games. Then it's not a lot of games that they've won. So that on compiled on with just losing for the last 10 years. The Mike Trout being out, the Shohei Ohtani now being out, the Rendon issues. You even want to throw in the David Fletcher issues. That's fine. Throw that into the mix too. Why hasn't he been up? Why has everybody else been up but David Fletcher? It's just been a giant mess. It really has. It's tough. And I'll go back to it, and I say this all the time: winning cures a lot. If the Angels go out and win next year, a lot of things get forgotten about. But right now, losing to bad teams, and the consistency, the constant lack of communication. I know we're probably gonna talk Rendon, and we're gonna talk a little Ohtani here. With that whole situation, it's just been a rough. It's been rough since the All-Star break. It's been rough since a little bit before that All-Star break. So, and even before that, the past 10 years, it's just been rough. And I think this, you can say that this is the spot that, sums it up, but it's been summing up for the past 10 years. This is not fun. This is very, very rough right now.
12 wins since the trade deadline.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I was more along things. I was curious because I'm sitting there listening to Nate talking, and oh my gosh, I disagree. That's not out of the normal for us, but not necessarily the team with the worst. I'm looking in here and I'm going to the NFL first. And I can look at the Bears and think, okay, are the Bears worst run? They're there. Carolina has had some issues. Arizona's had some issues, but I would say that's right on par. So then I go over to the NHL.
At least Arizona sold.
I mean,
right? New people in
what?
that org. So we get to give them a pass.
Give them some
new
break.
people in that org.
I look at Columbus. Columbus is like for NHL, the Blue Jackets. They hired a head coach who has been viewed as a problem, a winner, but a problem. Mike Babcock. They fire him today. Hadn't even coached a game yet. I mean, that then I look at the rest of the league. Okay, well, you know what? The rest of the league doesn't have the kind of problems the Angels have. So Nate right now is kind of winning. He at the very least they're tied for among the worst. I go to the NBA and look at like Detroit, and they've been awful forever and a day. But are they poor? Are they that much of a mess or just haven't put together? I would go. They just haven't put together. And look at the rest of it. Okay, well, Carolina. I mean, Charlotte. Charlotte's been poorly run by Michael Jordan. That's probably the closest comparison I can find. And then I go over to MLB, the rest of the league in MLB, and I can go Kansas City struggle, but everybody knows they're rebuilding. The White Sox just cleaned house. Oakland,
Rockies.
I mean, the Oakland and the Rockies, I think compare. I would say at least the Rockies
at least they don't have
the ballpark.
But at least they don't have issues, right? Like they don't.
Oakland has issues,
have,
dude.
They don't have guys getting. They don't have the issues the Angels have had, and I don't even really want to go into the issues the Angels have had. But if you really want to get technical, you had guys in the clubhouse doing drugs that nobody knew about, apparently, right? You had guys, possibly paying off people to make sure you got something paid for, so you could own everything around Angel Stadium, the parking lot, and everything. Oakland doesn't have those. Colorado doesn't have those issues. Like I'm getting into like the big issues.
Like
there's small issues.
So
but
now
those
now
are
we're
like
moving beyond. See, now we're moving
catastrophic
over
issues
from where I was thinking was right now versus historically right now. And I think given going back, okay, let's go back 5 years. In the last 5 years, the Angels don't have the same win-loss that some of these teams have had, but they certainly have more drama. And they shouldn't have this kind of drama. Let's be honest, the Angels are in the number 2 media market in the country. They should be a draw for any free agent. Anybody should want to come play for them. And year in and year out now, we're talking about who we're going to fire, who's getting traded. And now you're going to lose Ohtani. They're going to lose him. It's done.
No, it's 100%.
Right? And back when he got hurt, I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought, this actually puts the ball back in the Angels' corner a little bit. And just the last month, it's like, dude, you couldn't even do this right. What are you doing? As far as I'm concerned, the Angels just need to fire everyone. And Artie needs to sell the team. But Artie's not going to sell the team. So you've been saying it, Nate, for a long time. And I'm in agreement. You need a guy in charge of baseball operations and you already just stays away. The problem is he won't stay away. But that's what has to happen. You need a baseball operations guy who runs baseball operations. And we haven't said enough. We haven't talked about it enough. We haven't talked about the fact that you did have a dude in your clubhouse who was at the very least distributing illegal drugs that in the end helped result in a player's death. We still don't know who all those players were involved. We know some testified, right? So you haven't had control of your team, your front office. You haven't had control of anything for the last 5 years. This is embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. This goes beyond baseball. Baseball is what we see every day, though. It's the evidence, but it does go beyond baseball. And this is problematic to me. And we're going to have people who listen to the show and are like, hey, come on, dude, chill out. No, I'm tired of chilling out. I used to be the guy on the show, Jared, you know this, who was measured, who would be very even killed, fact-based, tried the best I can to leave my emotions out of it. That kind of ends with this garbage now. You couldn't even be honest about a dude's broken leg. You let him take all the heat in the media for the last 2 months, knowing he had a broken leg. All these fans giving him a hard time because He's always got a bone bruise. He should be back by now. If it's a broken leg, you shouldn't be back by now. I'm sorry, I'm going off. It's been a month and a half since I've been on the show, and I'm kind of holding things in.
Yeah, no, I understand it. I think part of it is the reason they didn't mention Anthony Rendon's broken leg. But you gotta save your job, right? The whole premise behind the trade deadline, which I think we all were in agreement, was a terrible decision to go for it at the trade deadline. But some people may disagree. Anthony Rendon, Mike Trout, Logan O'Hoppe, all these guys were coming back. That was the whole point of, hey, we got to go for it because, hey, Logan O'Hoppe's close and Mike Trout's looking really good. He's probably even ahead of schedule. And Anthony Rendon, like, he could be back any day now, right? That's what we heard. That's what we heard after the trade deadline. You make the trades, they don't go the way you want them to. And not only is Mike Trout not 100% healthy, Anthony Rendon broke his leg, and he for sure is not coming back for any meaningful baseball this year. Like, you might have been able to tell me, like, yeah, he could be back for the last week of September, big deal. But by that time, you're already out of it or you're already in it. So Anthony Rendon isn't going to play any part in your season. So I think Perry knew his job was on the line, and he had to do whatever it takes to make sure that he gets to keep his job. Because like you were talking about, the Angels need someone. And I hope that if we just clean house, we get people that have actually been in these situations before. We have never hired a guy who has been a general manager before. We have never hired a guy. Every guy has been, oh, he was an assistant GM. I think the last guy who actually could claim they were a general manager before was Jerry DiPoto, and he was a interim GM for about 2 months when it was like August to September. So he wasn't even making trades or anything at that time. He wasn't even doing free agent signings. He was an interim GM from August to September. That's the last time we hired a guy with any GM experience. So can we just clean house and hire a guy with? Yeah, go ahead.
For the record, look at the job Jared DePoe is doing now with Seattle.
Well, because he has experience, right? Like,
bingo.
You're not gonna get anywhere if you don't have experience. Like, yes, everyone needs that first job, but we're in a market, especially with a team who claims to want to win. And I love to say that because they always say, hey, we're a winning team. We're going to make the playoffs this year. And it's, 68 wins later, 75 wins later, whatever. They always claim that. But this isn't the team to take your lumps with. Like, the team to experiment with guys like that are teams like Oakland, teams like Kansas City, teams like Cleveland, where it's like, hey, we'll bring in this guy because he was an assistant here and, he seems to know how to do a good job. You look at what the Dodgers have done. The Dodgers went and got the Rays guy, not the assistant Rays guy, not the assistant to the assistant Rays guy. They went and got the Rays guy. Right? Like,
Farhan was the assistant at the time, but yes, I get what you're saying.
That was not who they hired, though. Farhan was the assistant. Their GM now is the old Rays GM. Actually, he's the baseball president of ops. But as I'm looking this up, go ahead.
I got nothing. I got nothing on this standpoint. You guys are crushing it. Like, I mean, you guys are spot on there. Like, it's tough. It's tough, and to think that to hope that you're gonna. I don't know what's gonna happen this offseason. Like, are you keeping Perry? Are you not? Phil's probably out. You would assume. It's the end of his contract. He had a 1-year deal, so you assume Phil's out. Phil had never managed before. Is whatever you want to take from that. If he is managing the team in the clubhouse, but is he managing the team on the field? Maybe. And then you look at you hope you get a GM that has been there and done it before, and that hasn't happened. Tony Regan's hadn't been there and done it before. Bill Stoneman came.
At least he had been in the off. Like, at least he had been with the Angels who were winning baseball games. Like, we're not even getting guys from like top or like we got Perry who's with Atlanta, but he wasn't Alex's right hand man.
He was an assistant. He was the assistant. He was his right hand man. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. You want somebody that has been there and done it before, and the Angels haven't done that yet, and that you'd have to assume is a design by the man at the top who gets what he wants. We've said this before. Like, Artie gets what Artie wants, and that's just end of story, right? That's kind of how it rolls. So I mean, I'll let you keep going there, Nate. But
Andrew Friedman was the guy I was thinking of. He was the one who
Yes,
left
that's
Tampa
the
Bay,
one.
took the Dodgers job, and that triggered Joe Madden's opt out, and that triggered Joe Madden signing with the Chicago Cubs and leading the Cubs to their first ever World Series. So, yeah, that was a big play for, I think, baseball in general and Joe Madden in his future. But yeah, this is getting absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand how do you not know that Shohei Otani's cleaning out his locker? Why do we have to wait 24 hours to hear a statement from you? What the frick are you doing? Like, seriously, what
There
is
should
your
have been a
job?
statement. There should have been a statement before they even cleared the locker.
Right?
If there's a statement before they clear the locker,
exactly.
there's no controversy at all. Is and I don't. We can give. There are all kinds of rumors, right, about how Otani kind of is Otani's behavior surround all this. We could talk about that. All I know is whether or not Otani threw a fit with his locker. Everything going on about Otani organization should have been told beforehand. Like if the moment they made their decision that Otani's done, and to me it was kind of common sense he was done. He should have been the IL 10 days ago. And he wasn't.
Yeah, save money.
So I mean, seriously.
The only benefit of the doubt to the front office is if Otani and his agent didn't tell them. Right? Like that's the only thing that you can give benefit of the doubt to the front
And
office.
he's done that before.
Yes. Oh yeah. So that would be the only benefit of the doubt to the front office is like, you know what? Otani and his agent were like, we're done. Like, we got our own scan. Our own scan says this. We're done. Clears out his locker, and people find out, and now we have to make a statement, right? That would be the only benefit of the doubt to the front office. But the Anthony Rendon situation is 100% fireable offense. You need to be able to tell everyone that he has a broken leg. Like, there's no way that you can have that job and not know Anthony Rendon's leg is broken. I know Scott Boras said that he got 5 different opinions, and the 5th one finally said it was broken. And it was Scott Boras and Anthony Rendon's guy. It wasn't the Angels guy that found the break. But you would think that Anthony Rendon sent that over to them, and they were like, "Ooh, that's not good," right? Like, there's no way that Anthony Rendon just was like, "Oh, hey, I'm going to let it known in the media that my leg has been broken," because the reason that nobody wanted to answer that, it just felt very like, let's keep this hush hush. Where the Otani situation, it's like, you can't keep that hush hush. Like, he's having surgery, right? Like, no matter what, people are going to find out about that. So how do you not have an answer to the media when that happens?
The Angels have been a fan, supported this team as a kid since the 80s. The 80s. How is it humanly possible to support a team that right now, not the players, this is not on the players, by the way, just an organization that is so unlikable, so unprofessional, and it completely undermines all the positive things they've done. Perry Minasian has done some positive things in the organization. They actually have a core now. He's played a role in that. They've drafted pretty decent. They've done some positive things, but everything else around it is so negative and so gross that it's almost impossible at this point to support this club. And you start asking yourself, well, why should we? And you're going to hear people say, well, you're not a real fan. This isn't about that. Are you cool with your team basically being labeled a drug house? And we're still having some of these same inside clubhouse issues now, hopefully not drugs, but other things. No communication. Players have to go around Angels PR to tell the media what's going on with them because they're taking all the heat when all the club had to do was say, hey, look, he's got a broken leg. Rendon's been the villain for 2 months now. I'm sorry. This is immensely frustrating as a fan, just a person. Like, you can't be better than this. We've had this Dodgers complex for years. The Dodgers would never do this crap. Never. You'd never have anything like this happen in the Dodger organization. You won't hear it in the Red Sox organization. You won't hear about it in the Guardians organization. There's not an organization in baseball that behaves like this. Even the ones that struggle, the Pirates don't behave like this. It's embarrassing. Embarrassing. And we're silent.
Jared,
Did I kill the conversation?
anything.
I'm sorry, what?
Jared, anything.
He went to Jared.
I think a lot more goes on behind closed doors of baseball organizations than we think. And I think that a lot gets out in this organization that should not get out. And I think a lot is unfortunate that it does get out at the moment. But I think this goes on a lot more than we think in Major League Baseball as well. So it's
But
not.
isn't that kind of an indictment, Jared? Isn't that
Yes.
kind of an indictment?
Yes.
They pride themselves on being the team that nobody knows what's going on. They pride
Yet we know
themselves
what's
on
going
being
on.
the mystery team every offseason.
Mhm.
What do you mean that stuff gets out here? Nobody knew Albert Pujols was signing with the Angels. Nobody. Not one person.
I think it's easy.
And then all of a sudden, oh, hey, there's a mystery team. There's always a mystery team over the last 8, 10, 12 years. And it's been the Angels like most of the time. So why is it that this stuff is getting out? Why is it that the bad stuff is always getting out and none of the stuff where it's like, hey, we're about to get this guy, or hey, we're about to do this, or hey, we're about to do that? None of that gets out. Why?
I think it's easy.
Do people just not like Artie?
I think it's easy to point it at the Angels at the moment. They are the laughing stock of baseball, and I think it's easy to put it on the Angels right now. I think that's fair to say. I think that if this happened in other organizations, and it hasn't happened to the degree in other organizations, right? We haven't seen somebody die. We saw somebody in the Angels organization die. We saw that get placed on it. That hasn't happened. I'm not saying that that kind of stuff happens throughout
Marlins.
Exactly. There you go. And that got out. There you go. And when it's bad enough,
it took forever to get out.
When it's bad enough, when it's bad enough, it gets out. But I think right now, anything that you can point to the Angels and make it worse for the Angels is easy to do right now. I think that's
because they make stupid decisions.
Exactly. As bad as I say, it's like,
but they're the only ones making these stupid decisions.
If Artie had sold this last offseason, would we be having this conversation?
Maybe
Probably
not. We don't know for sure.
I don't know that. But and the only reason we don't know because how soon does that owner come in and clean house and clean everything out?
So if the Angels are in this situation,
how do we know the rat's not still in there?
Yeah, hold on. Before we even go any further, we have 10 minutes left in the show, but we need to hear from our sponsors. One moment, please. All right, Nate. The rats.
Yeah, how do we know the rat doesn't still exist with the new owner, right? Like we don't know. We don't even know who the problem is, right? You can point the finger at whoever you want. You can point the finger at Artie Moreno. You can point the finger at Perry Mason. You can point the finger at Phil Nevin. You can point the finger at the players. You can point the finger at the agents, whatever. But we don't even know who the problem is. And everyone wants to rush and say it's all Artie's fault, which it probably is. But we still don't know whose fault it is.
It starts
at
the top. It starts at the top.
It does obviously start at the top.
And it trickles
but
down.
How do we know that there's not someone in this org that is making this even worse than it needs to be?
Because there's only been one person with the org that has been there this entire time.
Not true.
That is yes.
Multiple people have been here this entire time.
I'm not blaming Mark Gubiza.
I didn't say Mark was with the team the entire time.
What? I'm not blaming Mike Trout. Those guys
man.
have been here just as long as Artie. It starts at the top.
But listen, you need strong leadership. So we can put the blame on Artie and say, look, that his leadership sucks, okay? But then you also GM who has made some crazy decisions
hired
taking
him?
over. I'm hold on, dude. Before you, I'm not
Harry.
taking the blame off of Artie. I'm not. I'm trying to say this goes. Artie is the buck stops with him, but the guy below him where the buck could stop is Perry. So Perry's not innocent. He's not innocent, and you go down the entire pipe from there. When you have this is like a virus. It's gone through the entire organization now, and you the only thing you can do is clean it out. Who's going to clean it out? Artie should have sold the team. You should have sold the team. Immensely frustrating me. Should have sold the team.
Yeah, I think everyone's in agreement with that, but they can't. So he's not going to, at least not right now. Hopefully that changes in the future. But if it doesn't change, how can the Angels get back to where they need to be? Because we still want to win baseball games. And don't shake your head. Don't shake your head, because I've seen dysfunctional. I have seen dysfunctional organizations win games.
You're falling.
The New York
you're
Knicks
falling
just
into
made
the mic trap.
playoffs, and they're known as one of the most dysfunctional organizations in pro sports.
You're falling into that trap now. Like, it's happened every single time. How can you expect something? It's a definition of insanity.
Well,
like, this is the exact same thing over and over and over.
The New York Knicks are known as one of the worst organizations in pro sports. I just watched them make the playoffs. Everyone says Jerry Jones is the worst person to have in a room because he doesn't know what he's doing. And I've seen Dallas win divisions. They're not winning championships. I'm not saying we need to go out and win championships. I would love it if we win championships. But how can we get back to playing competitive baseball? We're getting swept by the freaking Tigers right now.
Hold on a minute. You know, one, like I'm not going to blame anything on the players right now. Just pause for a moment. Look back at this season, and we can go back to the main problem for this year being injuries, right? All right. Now, what have we done concerning they could have been competitive the rest of the year. They could have played, instead, what we're seeing from the front offices is all kinds of haywire crap. But I want to point this out. And Jared, because I haven't heard you talk like this like ever. Okay. The Baltimore Orioles, Peter Angelos buys that team. They're a train wreck for much of the last 20 years. But look at them now. Okay. And the Angelos family still owns the Orioles. The Marlins, they're on their way up. They have one of the youngest pitching cores in the league, one of the best cores in the league moving forward. The Tigers are actually on the way up. I mean, you have teams that have cleaned house and have had problems. It's recoverable, even with bad ownership. It is, but you got to put somebody in a position to run the show, at least to a degree. That's what the Orioles did. That's what the Marlins did. And now you got something going on there. It can happen, but sooner or later, the boss being on top, Artie Moreno, has to decide the same thing you guys are saying. Insanity, definitely insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. That result has to change now. You got to do something different. Can't do the same thing. And I'm not giving up hope, because hope's the only thing that can hold us up here. I'm hoping he sees that this year. Sell the team, let somebody else do it, or you do it. Either way, you got to change it. How can you expect?
I was just going to say, you're also saying Oakland's been one of the worst run organizations in baseball. They have made the playoffs more recently than the Angels have. Let that sink in. Let that sink in, people. The Oakland A's have seen a playoff game more recently than the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. So the fact that it's impossible, I don't think so. But what can this organization do to get back to competitive baseball? Because 68 and 81 in September is not competitive. Perry Minasian has the worst record in 3 years of any GM over the last 3 GMs we've had. In their first 3 years, Perry Minasian has the worst record. And you can argue it's injuries, you can argue whatever it is, but like, he has also spent the most money in Angels history too. And if you want to get technical, he spent $214 million on free agents. They have a combined Fangraphs WAR of 9.5.
So
9.5.
running out of time.
Mike Trout puts up 9.5 by himself.
I mean, you're right. And we're running out of time, guys and gals.
It's been a joke.
Thank you for visiting our TED Talk session today. It's been a rough one, but my guess is many of you feel the same way we do. If you are a member of the Angels organization listening to the show, the odds are pretty good you're going to blow us off and be mad at us or whatever. I don't care. Like, you're a joke. Your organization right now is a joke. Do something about it. Do something about it, because we can't keep sitting back this way and watching it happen over and over again. This was an organization that just 10 years ago we were all proud to support. It's a joke. Jared, any closing thoughts?
Nice swing by Nolan Shanwell. His first career home run. Congratulations there.
Congratulations to him. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Jose Suarez needs to be DFA'd.
What?
Jose Suarez needs to be DFA'd. That's my final comment.
Perhaps. All right. All that said, folks, if you're as upset as we are, we'd love to hear from you. Hopefully we're not alone. Email us talkingheels@gmail.com or on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Bother Jared, because he just loves being bothered, especially if he's in Japan. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter as well. That includes Nate Green, myself, at Ciapola. And meantime, we're out of here. Have a great one.